Good day and welcome to this Focus On with myself, Fifi Peters. Now, the continent's financial system is in the midst of a profound evolution and perhaps I'd even argue globally with what is going on, all the shaping that has been done by digital innovation right now, mobile technology, as well as a rising generation that is more connected, more informed and more invested than ever before. From mobile money to cryptocurrency, from forex to global equities, the lines between traditional and alternative finance are rapidly blurring. To take stock of the financial evolution on the continent and the role of multi-asset brokers in the process, I am joined by Sihle Tuta, the head of region at PrimeXBT South Africa. Once again, welcome back.
Hello, Fifi.
You're becoming part of the furniture right now. You might as well just move in. But when you look at the evolution of the financial ecosystem here on the continent, with what is happening with money, with what is happening with trading, what excites you the most about the direction of travel?
Of trading and investing. I think most people are realizing that they can take the responsibility of managing their money and finances. Obviously, it comes with the right education and the right expertise. I mean, if you look at what has happened in the last 30 years as an example, with people who have been invested in a pension fund, there's an argument that what most pension fund managers or investment managers do, instead of growing your money, all they do is just generate fees and commissions for themselves.
Sure.
Because their idea is that after investing in a pension fund for 30 years, you expect a certain level of growth. But that hasn't been the case for a lot of people, and they are met with disappointment when they come to retirement and realize, so this is what I've been saving towards for the past 30 years. So I think there's a direction where more people are really looking at self-managing the investments. They want to manage their own money, they want to understand how things work, and they want to take the responsibility and the risk into their own hands, which is where platforms like these ones come into place, because they simplify the investment process and they give you access to global markets in the comfort of your own home, whether you're using a mobile phone or whether you're using your home personal computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite, I suppose, popular right now in terms of what you're saying. You know, you've got the independence and if you've invested in the knowledge, you've got the know-how to invest and manage your own money. But I would argue that sometimes it's not always as easy as cutting out the middleman, because there are risks involved in taking on the process by yourself. So I suppose the other side of the question, in terms of the evolution of the financial ecosystem right now, trading and investing, what concerns you about how things are unfolding? So,
the traditional firms or the big banks and the investment houses, sometimes they make a good job at simplifying, at complicating simple concepts.
Okay.
Right? Investing doesn't have to be overly complicated. Yes, there are things you need to know. You do need to understand how financial markets work. And if you put aside the time and you invest in the education, you can learn the basics. Right? Like, for instance, with trading platforms that are popular now, like PrimeXBT, they do provide the basic education. Right? Because remember, they don't give you the advice, they give you the platform. But as a cherry on top, they provide the basic education so that you can be in a position to know when to buy or when to sell. So that is a choice that you make. Yes, there is a risk attached to it because we're talking about leveraged products. It's a double-edged sword. If you assume too much risk, you stand to make a lot of money, but you also can lose a lot of money. I think that needs to be made clear from the onset, that investing in the stock market or any other digital assets, they carry a degree of risk. Even with digital assets like crypto. Like crypto right now is sitting at 120,000 USD. I think we spoke the last time that people who've had their crypto for a long time and who've been disciplined enough to hold on, they are obviously now cashing out. However, there's a downside to that if the direction or the price doesn't go the way you anticipate, then obviously you're going to be in the red. So there is a risk attached to it. This is why responsible investment managers, if you want to invest your money, they have to do a risk analysis to determine where exactly in life are you and what is your risk appetite. And sometimes they need to look at your family life cycle. Are you a young person who's single, newlywed, or you're a retired couple? Because based on the stage you are in life, you'll have a different sort of risk appetite.
Sure.
If you're young and carefree, you're in your 20s, just got married, but you've got a high-paying job, then you're going to have a bigger risk appetite. You can afford to lose a little bit more money as opposed to somebody who's got a family or in retirement. So your investment manager needs to help you to assess what your risk appetite is. So the risk tools are there to ensure that you don't make sort of the wrong decisions. I mean, they always say in investment circles that you should not put all of your eggs in one basket, which is why trading platforms will have multiple assets available at your disposal for you to trade or invest in, because you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket.
Sure.
So the most important thing is you need to be educated about the assets that you're trading in or investing in so that you manage the outcome. Yes, the risk is there, but the risk can be managed.
I think the saying of not putting all your eggs in one basket, it spreads across the board, also when it does come to life. But you did mention the record territory that the price of Bitcoin is in right now, and it has been quite a talking point in your ecosystem. I remember one of the first conversations that we had, you spoke about one of the trends that you had seen, and that is the increase of young people, really enthusiastic, really savvy, just coming to the party a lot more. When you do see the price circling at these record highs right now, I'm just interested in the kind of behavior that you do see on your platform amongst young people or perhaps even other customers.
So volatility creates volume. So the more volatile the market is, or the more volatile a specific asset class is, it attracts more activity, it creates volume. Because when traders in general or investors in general see a specific instrument going a certain direction, they tend to believe that it's going to continue on that cycle.
Sure.
So there's a saying in trading and investment cycles that the trend is your friend. So when you see the price going in a specific direction, you're better off following the trend.
Okay.
It doesn't guarantee anything, but the likelihood is high that once a trend is formed, there's a likelihood that it's going to carry on until obviously there are indicators on the chart or signs that it's now reversing. So if you ride the trend, you stand a chance of being on the right side of price, obviously, and making a little bit of money. Yes, again, it's not guaranteed, but previous patterns show that what has happened before, there's a likelihood that it's going to happen again. And that's what trading and investing is all about. It's basically understanding chart patterns, because if you see a specific pattern forming on the chart and you know what it looks like because you've seen it before, likelihood that what's happened in the past is likely to happen again.
But going back to your saying, or the phrase that you mentioned regarding putting all your eggs in one basket, I'm just wondering what that looks like on your platform in terms of the current environment right now and the trends. What has diversification for a multi-asset brokerage firm on your platform looked like from some of your customers?
So PrimeXBT, like most brokers, is a multi-asset broker. Meaning traditionally you'll have a stock broker or a property broker, meaning they just focus on one single asset, which is stocks or property in the case of a property broker. But a multi-asset broker which offers CFDs, it means you can trade forex if that's your asset of choice. You can trade stocks, you can trade indices, you can trade crypto, you can trade multiple assets at the same time using a single account. You are not restricted to just trading one single asset. It's a multi-asset broker. So depending on your level of expertise as a trader, you can maybe choose to focus on stocks, forex, and indices at the same time. So that is how you get to diversify, because all these different asset classes offer different trading opportunities. They offer different volatility in the market. So for instance, if you're somebody who likes to trade over the weekend, then you can trade crypto, because the crypto markets are open over the weekend, as opposed to all the others who are only open 5 days a week. So that's what the diversification looks like in terms of having all these asset classes available to your disposal, at your disposal.
Okay, so I guess in that sense it would be based on your preference, based on your investment journey, and your needs and all of that,
and your risk appetite.
And your risk appetite.
Because it means that as much these are opportunities, they also open you up to risk.
Sure.
Yeah, depending on what sort of risk approach you take and what risk appetite you have. Because investing, or success or failure in investing, has to do with your risk appetite. Right? Some people have a bigger appetite for risk, right? Which means, because we say it's a double-edged sword, if you risk more, if you're wrong, you lose more. But if you're right, it means you make more.
Sure.
You just have to be prepared of the eventualities on both sides. You need to know how much you stand to lose if you lose, because I think that's the most important thing. Nobody goes to the regulator for making too much money. They go to the regulator because they've lost money.
Yeah.
Then they complain. And that's the case across the board. I mean, if people are happy, if their investments are performing, They stay quiet and then enjoy their dividends.
Sure.
But once things go wrong, only then they go to the regulator and they complain
and then there's a whole queue and a whole a list of the issues
Yes.
that the regulator has to deal with. We are out of time, but just one last question on the regulator, because you have been speaking about the regulator mostly in the form of a protector, particularly when investments go wrong or if clients get scammed out of in one way or the other. But I also want to talk about the role of the regulator in either enabling greater innovation when it does come to the financial evolution and trading, or perhaps detracting from it, because often they say that innovation outruns regulation, and I'm interested in what you are seeing in the South African landscape.
So I think we spoke earlier about that one company that tried to come up with a crypto ETF where you can invest in a crypto basket in one single transaction, but I haven't seen them. I would imagine that maybe it's because of the regulation. I think the idea and the concept was ahead of time. I mean, on paper, it sounds like a good idea, but obviously it has to pass through the regulator, for them to offer it to the market. Look, I think regulators are good to have overall, but they can be an impediment to innovation and progress, especially as far as technology is concerned, because you have companies like us who are always doing research to find out what does the market want, what can we offer using technology, only to find that the regulator still has processes which have to be followed just to tick the right boxes. Yes, we do need the regulator because it protects the consumer and the provider or the supplier of the products, but sometimes it can be a slow process.
It's suppose about striking the right balance and what that looks like. But Sihle, we'll park the conversation for now. Thanks so much for joining this week's episode. Of course, just looking at some of the dynamics when it does come to the evolving financial landscape with regards to trading specifically. But Sihle Tuta, the head of region at PrimeXBT South Africa, in studio with us. Looking forward certainly to our next conversation on alternative investments that are shaping the financial sector. To our viewers, do stay tuned and also continue to bring your insights into the world of crypto trading. But until next time, goodbye.